Norfolk Business Show with Danny Snelling. Sponsored by MT Comms.
Okay, so we got Jamie in the studio today, Jamie Mulhall. I always just kick off with a little introduction, but I guess you're best known for MayDay and that company. But before all that, where did it all start? Where did you grow up? A little bit about your background and family, I guess.
Well, I was born in Scotland in 1965 from an Irish father and an English mother.
Okay.
My dad was in the Navy, and then I moved to Ringwood in Hampshire, then Gibraltar, then I came to Spixworth when I was 3 years old.
So yeah, you'll pass for a Norfolker.
Yeah, that's exactly right. Yeah, that's right. Yeah. So I went to school at Spixworth, and then I went to Long Stratton High School. So we moved to Newton Flopman, and didn't do very well at school because I was always chatting and finding out.
Can't imagine that of you, Jamie, somehow.
No. My school report said Jamie's a lovely chap, but would rather look out the window and dream of things that may be instead of concentrating on his work.
Yeah.
It served me right.
Yeah. No harm in dreaming, though.
No, that's right, yeah. And then I went to college for a little while, didn't get on with that. Then I worked at Top Man in 1982, selling suits. Then I joined the Navy after that, joined the Royal Navy, served to 1988, 89. Saw service in the Falklands and the Gulf. And then I came out of the Navy in 1989 and I worked for a company called Procom UK. You won't remember that, Danny.
No, I'm trying to remember them, but I can't.
Selling mobile phones.
Oh, really?
Yeah, in 1989 when there were 8,000 X's, hand portables, car phones, and that's how it started in office stuff. I went from there. And how I got the job was I walked into the Market Tavern. There was a guy called Nigel Howard who's the boss there, and he was looking for a salesman, and he was drunk at the bar with somebody else. And I said, I'll do that job. And he went, who are you? So I got $8,000 a year in a company car, which was a Cavalier L. And I walked into his office on Monday morning with my briefcase that I just bought from W.H. Smith's, I think it was, or something like that. And the woman came up to the wicket and she said, who are you? And I said, I'm Jamie Mulhall, I've come to start work today. She goes, never heard of you. Went through the office and Nigel, he said, and I heard him in the background going, oh shit, I was drunk again.
What have I done?
Yeah. And I sold 35 phones in my first month.
Wow, that is good going. So sorry, just rewind a bit. You had Navy time, Falklands, did you see anything horrific? Did it, any tales to tell from that time?
Well, I was on 3 ships. I got a few tales, but one of them was I did the Gulf in '86 when the Iranians were fighting the Iraqis. That was a bit hairy. I did the Falklands in 1988, so it wasn't the event, but I went to the Falklands and we done that 6 months down there, and it was absolutely freezing cold. And I was also I was guard of honour at Prince Andrew's wedding in 1985. Not that I would talk about it anymore.
Oh, right, yeah. You've never told me that one.
No. I was Prince. Funny enough, I dug out the video the other day, and I was very young. And the only reason I got that job is because I was quite tall, and they picked me out, and I got £13 extra pay and a weekend's leave in the loo. So I didn't even know the bloke. And on television, they said I served with him, but I never met the bloke. So I just happened to be there for the extra money.
Well, still one for the grandkids, isn't it? Definitely, yeah.
I don't know about Prince Andrew, but that's another story.
True, yeah. Mobile phones then, or car phones as they were then, I guess.
Car phones, and I remember having my first hand portable phone, and I had my first company car, and Nigel gave me I can't remember, it was a Cavalier CDs. I was doing very well. I remember the old Cavalier CDs, champagne gold, and I had a portable car phone in it, like an NEC 11A, whatever it was in there, and I had a pager in my pocket. So when I went into the Market Tavern, which is now called the Steam Packet, everyone was in there having a drink. In those days, you used to have a drink at lunchtime and all that sort of stuff, and suddenly it was a beep in my pocket. And people were saying, what's that beep? I said, it's my car phone ringing. They were going, car phone? So I literally go out to my phone in the car and answer the phone. But then people got fed up with it and take it out of my pocket and drop it in a pint of Guinness, I recall. So it's a beep. But it was the early days. And everyone said to me, they said, why are you doing those poser phones? You say they're poser phones. And I'd say, well, one day everyone will have one of these. And look where we are now.
Yeah, can't live without them, can we?
no. And then after that, I went from there. I went into I moved straight. I went to self-angling windows in the early 90s.
White gold.
Yeah, it was the white gold era. Yeah, brilliant. What a company to work for, and what a life. It was just, for 2 years, it was craziness. We'd go out every night. We'd knock our own leads in those days. You'd knock round houses. You'd knock your own leads and sell your own jobs. And the trouble is, they paid you well, but when you're in your early 20s,
yeah, all goes.
It all goes. You'll have a week of earning a load of money, then a week of not turning up to work because you're absolutely off your head because you've drunk most of it.
Yeah, yeah.
And then in 1993, I worked for a company called, I answered a job at a company called OEC in Great Yarmouth, Office Equipment Centre, selling sharp photocopiers. In those days, we used to have to put them in a car and actually demonstrate selling fax machines and from the back of my car. Yeah.
Demo it then, or plug it in?
Take it out of the car, demo it to people.
But presumably not plug it into their landline.
You lift it into their offices and demo a fax machine. But the trouble is, in the early days, you're selling fax machines. It was great demoing, but you had to make sure you had someone to send a fax to. Yeah. Because no one had fax machines in those days. Yeah. Yeah.
Ah, and stayed there how long?
I was there for until the year 2000, and then I joined a company called Photostatic, which you know.
Yeah, I know.
And I worked there selling photocopiers and all that sort of stuff, and that was really good. That was good. Caroline and Rod, and Lee.
Just saw her last week actually.
Walking
dogs.
Lovely people. And then I got approached in 2006 by David Hoy and Graham Cassie, who wanted me to work for MayDay, and it took them about 6 months to court me because several sambucas. And we used to meet the old club in Reeds, and I'd meet him in there. And then one night, we were in there one night, and I did 7 sambucas, same flaming sambucas, and I said yes. And that was great. And I've had 18, 19 years there, which is a long time.
It is, but it's changed a lot, I'm sure, over that time.
I know
it has. But.
Well, Karen and Adam, who own the company now, they've gone from strength to strength. We just purchased Norfolk Copiers.
Yes, I know.
Which is really good.
Yeah.
And we're now the largest photocopier and printer company in the whole of East Anglia now, by a country mile.
Certainly going places, absolutely. And of course, I know Adam very well. And
he's doing a great job. Karen and Adam doing a great job. And obviously now, because I've now stepped back from the business, but subsequently decided I was going to take a step back and retire. But as you quite rightly pointed out to me at other times, don't ever retire.
No.
So now I do, I now contract to them, looking after my existing clients. So nothing's really changed. I do a bit of consultancy for other companies as well. They've got any particularly problems they want me to deal with, I go in there and invoice my time out accordingly. But it works for me. So yeah.
And presumably you can now pick and choose how hard you work, basically. And
well, it is. There is that pick and choose, but when you suddenly decide that you don't want to do, or because of I don't know if I've covered this, but as you know, I had prostate cancer.
Yes, yeah. Well,
I don't mind.
I want a full blow by blow of that in a minute, so we'll come to that.
But that changed my life a little bit, so I decided to step back from the business. But now I've got better and I've recovered, and I've got that joie de vivre back in again. I'm literally back on it again, and I'm more busier now.
Yeah.
It started off at 3 mornings a week when I first stopped, and now it's back up to 5 days a week.
Is it really?
Yeah, it is, because we are so busy at the moment, which is great. And Karen and Adam are great, and I pop in and pop out and look after our existing customers, which have been with us for a long time, which is great.
Can you still work from Spain, or is it when you're there you shut off, or is it?
No, I work from Spain. I've got all full Wi-Fi and screens in Spain, so people can ring me up and I can be there and be here and be everywhere. Yeah. So I mean, with this virtual world we live in, apart from, I'm still the kind of guy who likes to actually go out and see people and see the whites of their eyes and make sure they're all right.
Yeah.
Even with I was doing some documentation for a client yesterday, and a lot of people do e-signs and e-docs and all that. I'm old-fashioned. I like to go out and get them to
see
sign
the whites of their eyes,
and see and make sure.
I do have this conversation all the time. I mean, it's brilliant that it's more accepted.
Yeah.
So those occasions where you can't do face-to-face, it's okay.
Mm-hmm.
But I still think there's no substitute for face-to-face and shaking hands and just you can't build trust over a screen.
No, you can't. No,
you really can't. So unless you're already trusted, then.
But I think when you've had 30, well, it's 93. So that's what? That's 20. How many years? 93, 2003. Where are we now? 24.
30 years.
30 years.
Yeah.
32 years doing what I do.
Yeah.
And meeting people and sitting in front of people. I think the art of that has gone.
Yeah, it has. It has. But you say that. I still think there's a lot to be said for that people by people.
Yeah, exactly right. Yeah.
And that bit of it, I like to think will never die. Yes, there'll still be, the online sales and that will probably continue to grow. But I think certainly when business owners trust an element of their business with another business.
Yeah, and it's another trust.
It is trust.
And I know I have the nickname Jamie the Truth, as you know.
You do.
But a lot of people trust me.
Where did that come from then?
There is a story behind it.
Can it be published?
Many, many years ago, yeah. I was a great salesman selling windows. That we always used to have nicknames when we were selling windows, like the white gold thing.
Yeah, yeah.
And I got the name Jamie the Truth.
Okay. Yeah.
And that was how it all started. Really.
Simply that, I'll tell you it's this price when.
Yeah, and that was where it all came. Yeah, basically yes.
Yeah.
And it all sort of stuck really. And then I used it as when I used to play poker. And I called myself the Truth, and it came from there. Really, it sort of escalated from there. Really, it's become and it came from a boxer called Carl the Truth Williams. That's where it originally came from.
Okay, yeah,
so I quite like
a boxer name.
The boxer name, Carl the Truth Williams. It was,
yeah.
So that's where it started about 35 years ago. Yeah.
Yeah, good.
Well, you asked me earlier what a lot of people don't know about me.
Okay.
Which we haven't covered yet, is that myself and a couple of other people started karaoke in Norwich in 1991.
Oh, I know this. How do I know this? I know this. But go on, yeah.
I started off, one day I was in the Fruiterer's Arms, and there was a soapbox, like a carton on the floor. I was with a couple of guys, and there was a guy in there with some sheet music and a microphone and some backing tracks. It wasn't proper karaoke, it's more open mic sort of thing. So he played Never Gonna Give You Up by Rick Astley. And someone said, you've got a knack for doing that. And then I thought, that's great. So me and my friend at that particular time got some karaoke gear together and went around 7 nights a week selling karaoke, doing karaoke shows for 7 years. In the early 90s.
Yeah, I think I've seen a poster of you, maybe.
I did down at Marcus's pub once. I came out of retirement, did one night only down at the Oaklands Hotel.
Yeah.
And
I was probably there.
You probably were, yeah. But we did it 7 nights a week. 7 nights a week.
Yeah.
And I used to sell photocopies during the day, and I used to do karaoke at night.
Shit.
And I bought my first house from the proceeds.
No way. That's good going.
Yeah, so then I gave it up because in 1990...
Never Going to Give You Up.
Never Going to Give You Up. No, I gave it all up because it was just getting a bit... I finished off with the Artful Dodger, actually, and that was a rough house in the old days.
Well, I imagine you were finishing late anyway.
You finishing late every night. Jack was a baby, so lovely. Yeah, it was good.
So, you touched on the illness. I mean, for those unaware, I asked Jamie to come and speak at our lunch club last year. Was it last year or the end of the year before? I can't. Yeah, it was the end of the year before, I think. That's it was right. November 23.
Yeah.
And obviously, knowing Jamie had been through this, I thought it'd be great to have him there in a large group of gentlemen. And I think you sort of asked everyone to sort of just make a pledge at that moment that we'd all go get tested. And from 47, I think, people who were in there were 3 people who actually tested not positive, but worrying signs on their scan. And I think I've said to you, this to you before, that as a result of you coming that day, one of the 3, it actually saved his life, that test.
Yeah.
So, thank you to that. Thank you for that. But if you just want to talk us through, from the initial, something ain't right type conversation.
Well, something wasn't right, and I covered this when I did the thing, but for people who don't know, and it's very, very important, I had no symptoms. So
Yeah, that's right.
I had no symptoms. And the only reason that I had a test was because we had to go, myself, Karen and Adam, I tell the mechanics of the business, but we were doing an MBO. And when we do the MBO, you have to go through certain things, the bank and all this sort of stuff. And, you know, that when you do that. So, but the first thing we had to do was go and do a health check. Because when you're doing this sort of thing, they want to make sure that you've got warranties in place.
Yeah, of course.
And you're okay.
Yeah.
And everyone came back okay, except me. So I went down to Drayton Surgery and I said to doctor down there, the girl down there, I said, while you're there doing my bloods, can you do a PSA test? And the girl said to me, she said, do you have any symptoms? I said, no. She goes, well, why do you feel you have to have a PSA? I said, well, I'm 52. I was 52 at the time. I said, you know, I'm in Sniper's Alley now, so I think it's worth having a little go. I said, you're taking half a pint of blood anyway, so you might as well take a little bit more, because I'm not really big into needles. So she took some blood, and then I'll never forget it, it was Saturday morning, and Dr. Lee down at Drayton loves a phone call. So he rings me up on a Saturday morning. And he said, Jamie, he said, I won't do the cultural inappropriate language, but he said, Jamie, he said, you're great. He said, everything's great. I thought, oh, that's good. He said, we have got a slight problem though. Your PSA is a bit high. I said, what does that mean then? And he said, well, we'll get you in for a test in a couple of weeks and we'll do it again, because you might have been riding a bike or doing some other extracurricular activity which would enhance that reading. So I went back 2 weeks later, had another test, it got up again. So subsequently he said, right, we're going to refer you to a specialist. And lucky enough with MayDay, because MayDay's a great company, we had some health insurance. So went to the health insurance, and the MBO still went ahead, which was great, because they put some contingency for me.
Yeah.
And which is great if Karen and Adam did a great job of that, to be honest with you. Because obviously I didn't know what the future held for me, but they want to carry on, which is great. And that's what MayDay's about, really. It's a great family, integrated, friendly firm. So they supported me all the way through it. And I went to see my specialist, Rob Mills, actually, at Spire. Great urologist. And he did the usual stuff. I won't go into detail. It's a family show. They do a little check. And he said, yeah, that feels a bit rough. And I said, yeah, not. Anyway, no, it's not. I said, you're not. No. Anyway, he said it feels a bit rough. And so I got me in for an MRI scan. And he said, yeah, you've got localized aggressive prostate cancer. And if we don't operate, he said, we'll be having a completely, I won't use the word D, but we'll be having a completely different conversation in a couple of years, or within a couple of years. And I went, okay. And I'd booked to go to, I'd booked to go on Antigua to a holiday. And I was more concerned about going on holiday at that time, because it never really affected me. Because I'm more concerned I could go on holiday before the operation.
Yeah, and I guess not feeling anything.
You're not feeling it.
Well,
you don't feel. The irony is, even now, I don't feel I've ever had it. I know it sounds difficult, but I don't feel whether I'm in denial or anything else, because I had local aggressive and it broken out into the prostate bed and got into my lymph nodes. Without going to find anything. But lucky enough, they've cleared it all up, and I'm now in remission. And this was 5.5 years ago, and I've been signed off by the doctor now to just go back to normal GP and get my checks once every 6 months.
So was there any point where you did think, holy shit, this is all over, or did you completely in your mind put that positive spin on it that it's all going to be fine? Was there a time where you thought, holy shit, or?
Do you know what? A lot of people have asked me that question, and I've never ever, because of I've had quite a unusual life, because I was born deaf and dumb.
I didn't know this.
Yeah, I had a hydroma on my head, and I was given the last rites by a priest when I was a baby. They didn't think I'd make it through the night, and I recovered. And when I was 16, I fell off a motorbike when I was out with a friend of mine camping at Waxham, and I was in a coma and fractured my skull in 7 places. and they said I was going to be a persistent vegetative state for the rest of my life. And I woke up from that, feeling okay, and joined the Navy a few years later.
This does explain a lot about you, actually.
So I consider myself very lucky.
Yeah.
So I don't fear it. I've never feared it. I've never really accepted it. It was a very difficult journey recovering from it because the pain was very difficult. I remember, you know, and obviously I was on my own then, so I did it all on my own. So apart from my son, who I love dearly, who was looking after me, I was back at work. Even though I was told to take 6 months off, I was doing deals 3 weeks later, laying in my bed on my back in pain because I thought, I can't do anything else, can I? So, and ever since then, I've not really looked back. And I now know a lot of guys who you might know, we know, that have kept it quiet, who've actually contracted. And I do a little bit of, people ring me up now. I've just had a conversation with someone last week who's now contracted.
I hear you went through it as well. Yeah, is that the
yeah. Then say, what's it all about? And I tell them, because the doctor will only tell you so much, and I'll tell you exactly what it's all about. Do you know what I mean? Warts and all, because I can do that because I've experienced it. And but I've been signed off now, and I don't even when I look back, it's almost like, even though it's 4 or 5 years ago now, I don't think I was ever depressed with it. I don't think I was ever fearful of it. I think it's because I've always got a positive, and I think that's what's kept me.
I mean, I don't. No one can predict how they would react, but I like to think. I don't know if it's a good thing or bad thing, but I would feel so positive about the outcome that I wouldn't be bothered about it. I was more concerned about getting it out the way. Yeah,
getting
on your holiday, and it's just
the irony is, I tell you a sad story really. But when I was in hospital, because what they do is they operate you. The operation is 9 hours, and they sit you on a bed upside down like that. And my late father was in hospital because he had stomach cancer, and he had pneumonia, and he came up to see me when I was waking up from my operation in his pajamas and his
bag
and all that sort of stuff, to come and see me, and sat on the end of my bed, and he knew I was all right, and then he passed away a while later. So got to live. So I live every day now. Enjoy every morning. I wake up every morning with a smile on my face.
And you can't take it with you, and you just got to get on with things, haven't you?
You have.
It's funny though, the amount of people who've said to me as a result of hearing your story that they're actually changing life's plans. They're not going to retire. That's the one thing I always say. And
they don't retire, but always when you get to a certain age, always make a will. Whoever you use, make a will.
I'm perhaps guilty of not doing that yet, but it's because I'm always in a state of change.
Foster's did mine, did a great job.
I know plenty of people who want to do my will for me, but it's just like I don't know what sort of situation I'm in at any one time.
But you still have to make a will.
Yeah, I will. But I also think that's an element of planning for and I don't want to plan for that.
Death and taxes.
I know there are certainty. Yeah. All right, let's try and get this back on track. So, your time during MayDay, at what point did you put skin in the game, as you said, and what point did you, how soon after working for them did you become a director or have a seat at the table, if you like?
About a year into working with MayDay.
That's soon,
yeah, it was, because what was happening is with Photostatic, they were going through an MBO themselves. With Carol, I don't want to talk about their business, but it was going through MBO at that particular time. I think at that particular time, or they were thinking about it, and I decided. Then Graham and David approached me and said, "Would you like to come?" And I liked working at Photostatic. And to be honest with you, and I would say this now, they didn't. The basic salary I got at Photostatic and the basic salary I got at MayDay and the commission structure was exactly the same. I didn't go for more money.
No.
I went for better kit. Because the kit I was selling, Ricoh kit, was very, very good.
Yeah.
And you could win-win with the Ricoh kit, and Toshiba now, and Konica Minolta.
Was that down to price or better
product? Because colour was in its infancy then.
Okay.
So you know, yeah, it was in its infancy then.
Yeah.
So and the cost per copies were better. The colour was more vibrant, and it was just that exciting time. You know, when you people don't realise that people don't get excited about a photocopy because it's one of those necessary evils.
I would imagine it's much the same as the telecoms industry, where we've obviously over the last 10, 15 years switched over to VoIP, so it's very easy sell back 10 years ago. It's not so much these days.
No, it isn't. No, that's right.
Yeah.
But no, and then I got a seat at the table, and then obviously there's been Graham's left, then Karen and Adam. Karen was Adam, and then Adam joined the firm, and then he progressed through the ranks, and he did exactly the same thing.
Yeah.
And it's always been that progression with people. MayDay has always rewarded people, and it's a great company to work for. And if I had my time again, I'd do it all again because it's just brilliant. And then even when I got ill, they still supported me, and they're very gracious. They're just a gracious company. They're just good.
Good. So, any apart from the obvious, the illness, but any financial or business issues or challenges you've overcome during that time? Is there anything that stands out as being the oh shit time? Or I imagine the company's always been quite good, but perhaps any diffips you faced?
2008 was our difficult year because we went through the crash, didn't we?
Of course, yeah.
And obviously with what's happened with COVID as well, when you've got a service revenue coming in every month, then suddenly everybody's working from home or furloughed and stuff like that.
What were you able to do for your customers in it? Because I had a lot of them asking, can we just, in the end we came up with the option they can take just to pause their monthly payments.
We did a lot of that.
Yeah.
We did a lot of that as well, and supported customers all the way through. I think also as well, because we're a service company, there were still people going into the office that had to go into the office. So there was a bit, and obviously with the other elements of the business we had, they still needed support on their businesses and all that stuff like that, the other stuff that we do, with the support that we do. And obviously MayDay used to do stationery, well, it doesn't do stationery anymore. That's gone because it's just not worth doing anymore.
I can imagine.
So we're just a hardware and software company now.
So challenges, what about best, I don't know, what do you call it? What are you most proud of? What's achievement? Either you as a company or you.
I think my proudest moment is obviously we've got some big sizable accounts at MayDay, and we always have done. And our attrition is people either die or go skin. So the attrition rate is hardly next to nothing because the level of service we provide. Yeah. But supplying someone like John Innes and the Institute of Food Research and Norwich Research Park, I won that account in 2006 when I first joined MayDay. And that's one of my great achievements.
Oh, and I guess name on the box at Carroll Road must have been a good one.
Oh, yeah. I mean, we've now supplied Norwich City with their photocopiers and printers for some 3 or 4 seasons now, maybe longer than that. Three, coming up for 9 years, my brain's... But anyway, we just renewed recently, and obviously being a partner in the club, we go, we used to sponsor team sheets and stuff like that. Yeah, it's been good for us.
Yeah. And I always like to touch on this one, but technology, how do you, over the years, even thinking back to 2008, were there any processes or technology that you added to really help growth? Or?
Well, there's you've still got your machine, your basic machine, but what's happening is now in the industry is that a lot of people are going with HPs and they do this print packs and all this sort of stuff, but actually it doesn't work out that much. It doesn't save them that much money. Now, the good thing about what we do now is we do paper management systems, so effectively paper cut, things like that. So you've got rules-based printing. So if you've got a big organisation, you could tell people if they can print colour or they can't print colour.
Right. Yeah.
So therefore reducing your costs.
Yeah.
Which is a great way of doing it. Obviously, scanning is very important now. You've got different back office scanning software solutions that people are doing now. So you're moving, so you can scan something in, you move something through different departments. It gets a little ticket on there from someone say they've looked at it, and they tick it off, and it goes off to the next person. So there is a paper light.
Yes.
But from a point of view of, it's all software based now, but from a point of view of actually having paper, people are still printing. I think me and you, for argument's sake, if I go for a meeting, I like to print off something still, and I put it in my folder.
No.
Oh, well, you're no good.
Not
to
a
me,
single bit of paper in my life.
Oh, you're a modern man. But anyway, a lot of people still print, and yeah, it is turning. But obviously, with the onset of what other stuff we do with software and hardware and stuff like that, it's now.
I mean, is there certain products and services you offer that actually still monetize that process for you?
Yeah, we do. Yeah, we do. We've got 7 IT engineers. We do some big accounts now on the IT servicing and all that. We used to have a data center. So
do you do any kind of, I don't know, batch scanning?
We don't offer that as a service. No. Photostatic used to do that.
Yeah,
they used to do that, but now that's all. People tend to do that in house. But we will supply a machine that will do that.
Of course, yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And even rent a machine. Don't want to do it for a long time. We'll rent over short-term rentals and stuff like that. If people don't want to buy or lease a machine, so it works out quite well. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I guess anyone who, I don't know, maybe has no knowledge of the industry in that sense, might think that it was under threat from people just becoming paperless. More and more people, more and more businesses, more and more things out there.
I think also, but what we're doing now is we're capturing a lot more of the standalone printers that people have in the office now, which is now capturing that. For argument's sake, you can have a machine now that runs at 5p and 0.5, A4 only, 33 page a minute for under £35 a month.
Yeah.
And that includes all your toner parts, labour call-outs, rather than spending money on ink, which people still do, and they spend 30, 40 quid on an ink and it's gone in an instant. You've only got to do that once a month or twice a month and you're in deficit. Yeah.
I think, there's so many people still hanging on to paper, as you say. In our state agency, we've got, I don't know, probably 15, 18 filing cabinets, full-size filing cabinets, and we've only just this year decided to go paperless and start changing from that because we're basically run out of space. So,
well, same as us, really. We scan all our documents in now to our system. It's all scanned in now, goes up in the cloud.
Yeah.
But still, people still print though. They do. Sometimes it amazes me because our print growth is still growing. It's whether we're putting more boots on the ground.
Well, yeah. Is it just that you're taking a bigger, market share, or is it?
I noticed that volumes are slightly down, but we're taking a bigger market share, and the machines now are getting smaller, but more efficient.
Yeah.
But they're still doing quite a lot. So there is that.
Yeah. So touching on technology, Jamie, how do you think AI is going to affect your game, or have you got an opinion on AI or where it's going?
Yeah. I think AI is going to affect everything.
Yeah.
For example, I was writing some content for something as simple as at a particular club I'm a member of. I was doing the haggis, Burns night.
Oh yeah.
Addressing the haggis in the correct dialect. And all that. So because I was born in Scotland, I was addressing the haggis. So I had to put on a little Scottish accent. Didn't have a kilt, but they piped it in. And I thought, and they said to me, "Are you going to do a speech?" I said, "Yeah." "How long's your speech?" I said, "About 5 minutes." They said, "Great, lovely. Have you got it all worked out?" I said, "Yeah." The night before, I went on Gemini, which is Google's own. I said, "Write me a 2-page speech, 4-paragraph, addressing the haggis on Burns night." And it did it in 10 seconds.
Yeah.
I read it through twice and I was ready to go. It's just phenomenal.
So, I don't know, dream client, if there was anyone we could introduce you to or MayDay to who might be listening out there, who would be the absolute dream client for you or MayDay, or who do you want a coffee with? See if we can make this happen.
Angling Windows.
Angling Windows, really?
Yeah. I deal with First Home Improvements. It's one of the largest.
Just trying to think if I know anyone from Angling Windows.
They did my front door and side panel, did a great job. And but there's other companies out there, big companies.
Yeah.
We deal with quite a few big companies, but we don't shout about it too much. But we do deal with some quite big ones.
I mean, I'm just trying to think. Do you know any
Norse
names?
Norse
would be another good one.
Norse, I'd like to get Norse.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's very important. Yeah.
Well, if anyone is listening from either Norse or Angling Windows, do please reach out to me and I'll get you in front of Jamie for a coffee.
Yeah, it might be improve their service and save them a few quid.
Yeah, absolutely. So you're not really, I guess, out there networking at the moment, or no.
Yeah,
well, I know, we see you everywhere, but it's
I go the opening of an envelope, me.
yeah, but it's is MayDay doing anything, networking, or where's it getting its business from? Do you think mainly?
A lot of the business, believe it or not, is old-fashioned canvassing.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of stuff. Yeah, the guys, we've got 3 or 4 copier sales guys and also sell IT products. They go out canvassing still around the estates, doing telephone calls, follow-up calls, comp slips. It's all about activity. The more activity you do, the luckier you seem to be.
Yeah.
You put yourself in front of people all the time.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are not doing that. They're trying to do...
Well, they're trying to do all this modern stuff, aren't they? And they're forgetting about the old stuff.
The old stuff.
Yeah.
The old stuff. The knocking on
ground,
doors.
yeah.
I mean, I was in Bury St Edmunds the other day, and I saw this company, and I walked in the door. I thought, do you know what? I'm going to have a look in here. And they looked at me like I'd invented fire or something, because they'd never seen anyone canvassing. No one come in through the door.
Yeah.
Can I grab the name of the person who makes the decisions regarding your IT or your thing?
Yeah.
And I said, yeah, no problem at all. And I found out they've got about a year to run on their lease. So I'll contact them again at Christmas time for a view to going in there. And that was just happened to be passing.
Yeah.
And I did it for a bit of fun to see if I still had it.
Yeah.
And I thought, wait a minute, this is great.
Yeah.
And but the guys, the younger salesmen we got, I mean, I'm getting old and crotchety now, but the younger salesmen are out all the time. They love it. They have a certain amount of calls they have to make every week.
Yeah.
They have a certain amount of follow-ups they have to do every week. So it is quite regimented.
Yeah, but it has to be, doesn't it?
It does, yeah. Because we can't. You have to keep pushing forward all the time. And the level of service that we provide, we're very, very lucky because MayDay's very lucky because the engineers are bloody brilliant. They are very, very down to earth. They do anything. And now the amalgamation of Norfolk Copiers, and I can only speak as I find, but Karen and Adam would probably tell you more, but Norfolk Copiers has now come into the MayDay family, and we run, we've got 2, they still keep the brand name.
Yeah.
And the guys from Norfolk Copiers are coming in. It's all integrated really well.
Good.
And now we're selling Konica Minolta, which after 30 years, I sold my first Konica Minolta last week. It's only taken me 30 years to sell one because I could never do it.
Is that because they were an alien creature to you?
No. It was always because there was another Konica Minolta company in Norfolk that were doing it at that particular time for years.
Yeah.
The old EBS. And they make a good product, but we now got the dealership, so...
Yeah, so, I don't know, work-life balance. We've touched on the not using the word retirement and the importance of never doing that. But, how do you find going back to working 5 days a week again? And
well, I say working 5 days a week.
When is it going to stop?
Well, I say 5 days a week. I mean, most of it is seeing clients, and it's a hobby that pays my wage. Do you know? I love it. It's just a hobby. I popped around and see 3 people this morning, and it's nice to have a cup of tea and talk about any issues they have, and not that they do. And it was just nice to see you and all that sort of stuff. And if they want to improve something, they will. If they don't, they don't.
Yeah.
And I go into the office and do my admin. I'm down with the sales guys downstairs now in the office down there in the dungeon, which is great because sometimes they ask me.
They've had enough of you upstairs, haven't they?
Yeah, I'm not on the top floor anymore.
Okay.
And the guys, and I quite like being down with the troops because they ask me questions. Some of the new guys will ask me questions, and they can feed off me, can't they? And I give them a hand with certain stuff.
So, what does your day look like? Is it come in morning?
I still have a routine every day.
Get up early, or?
Yeah, get up about 6, 7 o'clock, walk the dog, have a bit of tea, breakfast, then I'm off into the office. Or I might go to...
You haven't sort of joined Adam's crew and jumping in rivers and stuff?
No, I'm not doing that, no. So I tend to get in the office sort of in the morning at some point, and then do my calls in the afternoon, visits in the afternoon, and then away we go. But I tend to spend a lot of time in Spain, as you know. I quite like it there. I go there 1 week a month at the moment in the winter, maybe 2 weeks a month. So I tend to do all my work in the first 2 or 3 weeks. But then the visits I do in the first 2 or 3 weeks. Then I do all the admin and follow-ups and emails and that when I'm in Spain. And it doesnent seem to affect what I'm doing, which is great.
Yeah, sounds like a good...
So you're getting a work-life balance. And I think when I get tired or anything like that, or because I'm now 60 this year, so you've got to think about it. I can't keep rushing around like a lunatic all the time. And I will have an exit strategy at some point. But at this moment in time, I just love it.
Well, presumably now you haven't got any sort of exit, as in from MayDay. I'm guessing you're not back involved in that side. Have you got anything?
No, I just do a bit of consultancy for them, and I do a bit of
not like you.
I do a bit of consultancy for an estate agency friend of mine, a little bit, and I do a bit of consultancy for someone else. So I spread it all around, really.
Yeah.
And so it works. And I buy and sell 1 or 2 cars.
Yeah, I know you do that.
And motorbikes, so it keeps me busy. Got me cats and my dog.
What more could you need? And a good woman, of course.
Absolutely, yeah.
So, how long do you think it'll be? Will you throw in the towel at all, or just keep going like this?
No, just keep going.
Yeah.
As long as, until I become irrelevant.
I don't think there's any chance of that, mate. None whatsoever.
No, because my late father turned around to me, he said, and I'll never forget this, he retired at 65. And he said, the worst thing I ever did was retired. He was a very successful man. He worked for a big multinational poultry processing machinery company all over Europe. Worked very, very hard, provided for us, made sure, very hard taskmaster, but brilliant dad, provided for us, made sure we never went without anything, but made sure that we did well at school, but I didn't do well at school, so I was always on detention and what have you. But he turned around to me and said, son, don't ever retire.
Yeah.
Because if your job is your social life, the phone stops ringing.
Yeah.
And I have all my clients happen to be friends that I do business with. And I think that's a lot to be said for that.
Absolutely, yeah.
And they can turn around to me and say, Jamie, that's a load of crap, and I'll sort it out.
It's not. No, it's most of my friends I know through business in one way or another, either they're clients or people I know from networking, and I think just to switch that side of it off.
But look at the friendships we have with
exactly,
all our boys and going away in our little lunch club and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, been to many a trip skiing and Marbella and goodness knows where over the years, and they're all business contacts.
And if everyone's busy, but you've got to take time out to speak to people and ring them up, and that's very important because we all get into this, especially now with social media. You want to know what people are doing. You could generally look on their social media, he's all right. But are they all right? I
just asked my wife. She spends hours on social media, so she knows what all my friends are doing. How's so-and-so? What's Jamie up to this weekend? Oh, he's in Spain this weekend.
Exactly, yeah. Yeah, exactly, yeah. But Spain isn't expensive, though.
No, I know. It's not like it
Fly out there for nothing.
Yeah.
Fly out there.
Yeah. Yeah, one day I'll join you out there. I'll keep trying to bring my boat round there. But
I think you need to buy a place out there. A good value at the moment.
No, not quite yet. Not quite yet.
A little place, just a little place like I've got.
Jamie, it's been an absolute pleasure, as always, and long may this continue with your perfect life, as it seems.
Well, it's a fun work-life balance, but it works, you know.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for coming on, mate.
Nice to see you.
You too.
Take care. Bye-bye.
The Norfolk Business Show with Danny Snelling. Sponsored by MT Comms.